Hi, this is Steve Wraith, and thanks for listening to the Steve Wraith Interviews. This interview was recorded during 2020's lockdown period and was part of a special series.
Steve, how are you doing, mate?
Good stuff, mate. Yeah, very good. Another week of lockdown, mate, but not bad. I've had a lot of stuff going on, writing a lot at the minute, mate. I've got a couple of books coming out. So honestly, this pandemic's probably done me a massive favour, Michael, because I would never have got these books finished as quickly, you know.
I know, yeah. In one way, it's a good thing. You've got to take the positives out of all the negatives. What's going on? Like yourself, you can get a lot of things done, whereas normally you wouldn't be able to. You'd be busy doing your events, your meet and greets, and that sort of thing. So, on the other side, you've got to take everything as positively as you can, and try and move on and do the best of what resources you've been given.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. So I thought by the time we got you on next, we'd be looking at a takeover complete, but we're still still counting the days. But there's been a lot more positivity in the last week or two, hasn't there? There's a lot more people seem to be talking about the deal almost being done. What I've heard today is that, still no news. It's not a negative. It's just still no news. And George Culkin seems to be going with a similar kind of theme. I think since we last spoke on here, though, I think the negativity which we were drowning in really has all but disappeared. And even the most skeptical of journalists has now changed his tact, and they all seem to be now saying, it's just a case of when, not if.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Obviously, we spoke probably 3 weeks ago, I think, now.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk about human rights and what happened to the fiance's husband, and that's a lot of it's died down. Funny enough, because I woke up this morning and I received a message on my phone from somebody in Saudi, and they texted me saying congratulations, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, the deal's been done, it's been announced in Saudi, it's on all the news, everything. And they sent me the video of the news and that sort of thing. And the person that sent me it, their father's actually a general, so they're very high up in Saudi, and so I think it's pretty much done. Do you know what I mean? I think on my side, I think the only thing that's delaying it is I'm in Jakarta now, and in Jakarta, a massive Muslim country, and I know that Eid's happening in a couple of days, and especially in Saudi being a massive Muslim country, they would probably want to get it announced after Eid and that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's a huge thing for the Saudis to be on Newcastle United, and they would want to celebrate like they celebrate at the end of Eid as well. So in a way, I think probably a couple more days, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Big Michael be gone.
I think you're right. I think, I know we've said in the past, and a lot of people said in the past, that Eid maybe won't come into it. Amanda Staveley and her husband are facilitating this deal, and, their PCP are the ones who are driving it. But you're right. The Saudis are investing a lot of money into this, and, maybe it will be driven, predominantly by Amanda and her husband, but it's more likely that the Saudis will have a say, certainly, because, they're the majority shareholder. And I do still think as well that what's going on in the world of football is playing a huge part, because, I still think the Premier League checks, I'm with you, I think the checks have probably been done. I think we're maybe at the exchange of money side of things now. However, the Saudis will want to be a big part of this, because it's a huge announcement. It's not just a huge football announcement, it's a huge global announcement. And I think a lot of the things that have happened over the last 48 hours, certainly on Twitter, which of course is like it's the main social media for Newcastle fans for knee-jerk stuff, really. But I think the Saudi Newcastle fans, or the new converts, if you like, they've now adopted one of our social medias, and now their knee-jerk reaction. So John Richardson's positive article that went out the other night about the takeover, we're not close, we're very close to it being announced, was then picked up by their press, and then they generated all of this. It's done.
Do you know what, Steve? over this side of the world, and everybody's talking about it. It's people talk about Newcastle United, a small club in England and a small club in Europe, but when you come outside of England and you hear what everybody's saying about Newcastle United, Steve, Newcastle United could be one of the biggest clubs in the world, I'm telling you. With what people are saying about the club on this side of the world, it's huge. You're talking about the full population of Muslim followers following Newcastle United. You've got how many people you've got in Saudi that are going to follow the Newcastle United? A lot of supporters are changing the flags on Twitter from Man United to Newcastle because obviously, first of all, the PIF, they first wanted to buy Manchester United a couple of years ago, and obviously, congratulations to Amanda and the Reuben brothers to change the mind of MBS and decide to pull them away from that and to buy Newcastle United, and you've got to give them credit.
Yeah.
Like you said, they want to do things at their pace. You know what I mean? It's not obviously what's going on in the world of football. Look, the Premier League's the biggest thing that needs sorted out, not Newcastle United in the Premier League side. You know what I mean? They've got a league that needs to be finished, and Newcastle United is only a small part of that jigsaw. So to their Premier League, yeah, it's a takeover, and as Newcastle fans, you're desperate for it to happen, but to them, it's not a big major thing that needs sorted out. So I think it's definitely going to happen. As Newcastle fans, as Geordies, we have to just be a little bit more patient. We don't need to be negative anymore because we know it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? You hear the manager coming up today saying pretty much basically that he knows it's been done. I've heard reports that some players have been told that it's happened and that sort of thing. So I think it's more of a case of it happening rather than people saying, well, is it ever going to happen like what it used to be?
Yeah. John Ball's question there, what do you think Ashley's next move will be when this deal is done and he has his money?
Well, obviously he's a businessman, isn't he? He's run Newcastle United like a cash cow, and he's ploughed all the money into high street properties and that sort of thing. I believe he'd continue to do that. It wouldn't surprise me if he bought another football club because he's made a lot of money from Newcastle United. So why would he not try and make more money from football again? So you then have to look at what clubs are for sale that he could purchase. Obviously, you look at Derby, you look at Leeds United, and you look at them down the road somewhere. You know what I mean? It's one of them things. Obviously, as Geordies, you want to be playing against your local rivals, your fierce rivals in the top division. And if he takes over the club and does what he did to Newcastle in the Championship and put his money into it and tried to get Sunderland back into the Premier League to join forces against Newcastle, obviously Newcastle will be on a different scale by the time they came up, do you know what I mean? And the results wouldn't matter anymore and that sort of thing. But I honestly believe that he'd probably buy another football club because he'd have people that are advising him to say, look, you made X amount of money every season from Newcastle, don't do it again. Somewhere else.
Wilfred Chums asking, hi, Mr. Chopra. I remember you once mentioned months ago you wanted to introduce Saudis to Mike Ashley. Did you introduce this deal then? Wilfred from London.
Steve, I sent you the screenshot a couple of weeks ago about my conversation with Lee Charnley. And yeah. I didn't believe how far it went back. And it was 2018, I think it was. Yeah. And it was pretty much right after the news had come out about the Saudis trying to buy Man United for $3 billion and the Glaziers rejected it. So I spoke to my partner in Amsterdam at the time, George Kazianis, and I said to him, why don't we not try and get the Saudis to buy Newcastle? He spoke to somebody that was very close to a guy in Saudi called Sami Al-Jabbar. And we got told to speak to Newcastle, to get a mandate to say that it's official and we can speak to the Saudis on their behalf. And that's when I spoke to Lee Charnley. I sent him the message saying, Lee, a group in Saudi Arabia that want to buy a Premier League team. Newcastle United would be perfect. Who do I speak to? And that's when Lee sent me Andrew Henderson, Mike Ashley lawyers. Denton's in London. He gave me the number, the address and everything. And we've been trying to get a hold of the guy for, I would say, about 2 weeks, mate. And it was just no reply, nothing. It was heartbreaking because as a Newcastle fan, you're trying to bring a buyer to the table, try and buy the football club for the football club to do well. And you've got another guy, on the other hand, who's supposed to be Mike Ashley's lawyer, that's not returning your calls or messages. We did actually get a hold of him, and he basically said to me that if the Saudis are who they say they are, and the royal family, tell them to jump on the private jet, fly to London and come and meet you. Right? Then myself and my partner, we just put the phone down and said, this guy's a joker. How do you deal with people like this? How can myself, an ex-player, go to the royal family and say, listen, jump on a flight, come to London, go meet a guy who works as a lawyer for Mike Ashley? You just wouldn't do it without any paperwork involved. So that was a couple of years ago, and obviously last year when it came up about Newcastle, the Saudi thing, when I went on TalkSport, people laughed at me. But I knew there had been some sort of link. I knew that there might be a possibility, do you know what I mean? Which is why I came out with what I said on TalkSport last year. And thankfully now, I'm not part of the deal. I wish I was, because I would have got a bit of commission from it. But no, I've got to look on the bright side, do you know what I mean? I've got the richest people in the world buying a football club that I played for. They're gonna, Newcastle United could be dominating with football in years to come, and it would be great for us as fans to watch that.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Tom Lynch says, will you be watching the 4-1 derby on Saturday? Because the staff aren't furloughed at St James's Park anymore, the Twitter account's back in action, and they're going to be showing that game on Saturday at 3 o'clock, which is great, isn't it? Good. It'll be good to see it again.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, they've been put on a couple of games and things like that. But no, I'll definitely be watching it. It was a moment, a turning point in my career that pretty much, as a schoolboy growing up, 10, 11, 12, 13, I dreamed about playing football for Newcastle United. And your dreams come true when that pull on the black and white shirt and run out of St James's Park and the black hairs on the back of your neck are sticking up and you're listening to the Blade and Races getting sung and things like that. I think it was a year before that, at the Stadium of Light, Newcastle scored, we won 1-0, and I was celebrating like mad, and I went home. I remember I went home dreaming about, oh, what a great, I wonder how Newcastle feels and stuff like that. I was training with a guy, and I asked him the feeling, and words didn't describe it. And a year later, I'm doing the same as what Nick's done in the same end, and managed to pretty much change the game. And I know Lee Clark, he wasn't happy getting substituted for me, but I think after the 15 seconds it was, when I came on the pitch and put the ball in the back of net, it pretty much changed the game, and we were on 4-1 winners. So I'll definitely be watching that game, Steve. It was a moment that I was very proud of, and a moment that my ambitions and achievements achieved.
Fantastic. Dan Davis put, Craig Hope just tweeted 5 minutes ago saying that they're still waiting for approval and nothing until next week at the earliest. So, you know, it's another story that another journalist's coming out with. And, you know, look, people have got their contacts, they've got their sources. I got a text, I'm sure you got one as well today, of somebody claiming that the players had been told. And, you know, that's a story that was circulated a bit earlier in the week, you know, by somebody else. And, you know, these things build momentum. It does become very much like, you know, I don't know whether it's politically correct to say Chinese whispers these days, but that was the game that I used to play as a kid. And, you know, you whisper into somebody's ear, it goes around a circle, it comes back to you, and it's something completely different. And, you know, maybe that's the case with that particular story, because I do feel that if anybody was told at the club, especially players, you know, that it would be something which would only be told to them when it was going to be announced the following day.
I think so, yeah. Look, as an ex-player and a player myself, when you get told something like this major news, look, people can say all you want. Give it to yourself. Nothing gets kept to yourself. Do you know what I mean? So for the players to be told and things like that. I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you hear these rumours and that sort of thing. Yeah, the players got told this morning, but the players wouldn't have been told yet. Unless it was officially going to get announced, the players wouldn't have been told that it was going to happen. Who's going to tell them it's going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Unless, like you say before, you're in contact with Amanda and the Reuben brothers. You know yourself, nothing's happening yet. So who's telling the players that it's happening? Do you know what I mean? It's close, and everyone knows it's close, but I think we just need to be a little bit patient and hold the can a little bit tighter and then get ready.
Yeah. Colour Coats 11 says, do you believe the story about a London PR firm being employed? I'm not sure. I haven't heard a story about that. I'm not sure what that is. I mean, both companies have got PR firms. Like Mike Ashley has a PR firm, Keith Bishop, we know that, and Amanda Staveley and her team have a PR team. So, I'm not sure what that story is. Do you know, Michael, or not?
I don't know. Obviously, I'm guessing that it might be a PR about, like a PR stunt, isn't it? Look, look, every takeover that's happened in the past, I honestly thought it was a PR stunt for the company or for Mike Ashley, pretty much Mike Ashley, trying to sell season tickets because every January he wants season ticket revenues, you know what I mean? So what's the best thing to do? Say if somebody's buying the club and being Geordies, you get excited and you're like, great, let's buy our season tickets for next season. It's going to happen. So I think this year is totally different, you know what I mean? But as a PR stunt, I don't think there's anything PR about it, you know what I mean? You've got the biggest people in the world that have come out in Saudi and said that they're pretty much buying the football club. You've got Amanda Staveley and the Reuben brothers that have come out. So PR stunt for them, do you know what I mean? I don't think so. I'm just guessing what the guy might be talking about.
Yeah, Stevka says, do you think there's much in the rumour that Mike Ashley's been offered 40% in West Ham?
Well, you never know, do you know what I mean? When I go back to before, when I was speaking to the guys in Saudi, I got a list of loads of Premier League clubs that were for sale. Southampton's one of them. So, look, you never know. He's a London guy, he's a business guy, do you know what I mean? So if somebody wants to employ him as the owner, he wants to buy a football club, then so be it. But as a football fan, I certainly wouldn't be excited if he was going to be buying my football club again.
It seems to be a lot of questions about Mike Ashley. Does Michael think Mike Ashley might buy Sunderland, says Nick Ellis?
I think so, yeah. He could do, you know what I mean? Obviously, Lee Charnley's come out in the press a couple of weeks ago and said that he's going to step down and stuff like that. So, as a businessman, if he got Sunderland back into the Premier League, he's got to think in 2-3 years' time, the money you would spend to get into the Championship, the money you would gain. And look, I played in the Championship, I played in the playoff final, and the money you get from that is like 180 million just to win the league. Do you know what I mean? To get promoted to the promised land. So he'll be thinking, well, is the gamble worth it? Look at the squad and look at the wage bill at Sunderland, and he might take a punt on it. You never know. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. But he's a businessman, and if there's anywhere to make money, then he'll do that at whatever football club.
Glenn says, do you think we'll hear something from Ashley at the end of all this?
I think so, yeah. Obviously, he wanted to come out and release a statement, and I think it was the Saudis that told him to hold back because they like to do things at their pace and what they're doing, procedures and stages and steps. And Mike had to hold back. So, yeah, I believe he'll come out and wish Newcastle United fans all the best, and he done what was right for the football club and put his money in there, and he didn't do that. But as Geordies, you just want to, you know what I mean, and things like that. You just want to move on and get our club back and go to the matches and start enjoying football again.
Yeah, lots of people going on about that game against Newcastle for Sunderland. We did cover this on the last show, but you know, we know which side your bread's buttered on, Michael.
Well, yeah, Steve. Look, Steve. When I was at Sunderland, I was living in Darras in Ponteland. Yeah. And I'm a Newcastle Daft fan. Do you know what I mean? I go to away games, and even a couple of years ago, I was at Chelsea, and and stuff like that. I'm Newcastle through and through. At the time, I had to do what was best for my football career. Playing in the Premier League, playing in the white team, Sunderland, it didn't come into it. Then things happen. Things happen for a reason. And after that game, I had to leave Sunderland the next day because of the death threats that I was getting. It was ridiculous, do you know what I mean? And for me, I'm a Geordie and stuff like that, but somebody posted it on Twitter literally 3 days ago, the chants and stuff like that. I'm looking back and I'm thinking, yeah, I could have been shot, but I might have chosen the right option trying to pass it. And then I'm looking and I'm thinking, obviously I go back and analyse my game and I'm thinking, well, instead of hitting it with the outside of my right boot, I could have maybe hit it with my left boot. So, look, I was a player that was low in confidence and going into a game and people talk about missing the chance and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I had to leave the club the next day because of what was happening in Sunderland and things like that. So I think if I'd have put the ball away, there would have been a big statue of me outside the stadium.
I'm glad you didn't, mate. I'm glad you didn't. Graham Dougal says, Chops, do you feel vindicated now after all the abuse you got after you said there was genuine Saudi interest in Newcastle United?
Look, I knew what was happening. A lot of my mates close to me knew what was happening, family and friends. And that's who you need. You know who you make of. You know what I mean? When things like this happen, you know who's behind you. You know who's sticking up for you. Especially when I went on TalkSport and people like Alan Brazil were laughing their heads off in the studio because they didn't understand. I had a lot of connections with people in the Middle East and especially people in India and stuff like that. Look, I've spoken to 3 people about trying to Newcastle. One of them in Saudi, an Indian guy, and the Oman Roy family. And to get something done was hard, you know what I mean? Because you don't get the communication what you need to be from the football club. But yeah, it did hurt me at times. But look, I just laughed, you know what I mean? When you read in the newspaper that the takeover was pretty much done, and I looked back a year ago when I was on TalkSport, and I laughed at these people now. Do you know what I mean? They actually understand now that they know pretty much kind of have an idea of what was going on, and people to this day still, when I put it on paper and said that one of the players that spoke to me about Bruce's tactics and they don't do this and they don't do that, what they don't understand is, yeah, I don't play for the football club, but I still have mates there and I still speak to players and staff at the football club like yourself. Do you know what I mean? You can still go to the football club and speak to people, and they tell you a little bit what's going on inside the club.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Nick Ellis says, what striker does Michael think will be a good fit for Newcastle once the deal goes through?
I think, Steve, you've got to be realistic. And you see the reports about Harry Kane and 200 million and stuff like that. It's ridiculous, you know what I mean? Why would Harry Kane want to come to Newcastle? You know what I mean? You've got a team that's playing Champions League football every year. And you've got a team that's been flying relegation and they're going to build a legacy. So then you've got to look at other top players in Europe that will have a chance of coming to the football club. People have spoke about Cavani and them sort of people who are a free transfer. And he's coming to the end of his career. Obviously, he's a great player. And he would help the football club. But would they want to finish their career in Newcastle United? It's another one of those things, because I go back to what Warren Barton was saying a couple of days ago, when you do have to take the players into Newcastle a little bit more, because you don't get all the development side of the city and what it is in the nightlife and restaurants, what you do in London. So you have to try and persuade them. But I would love to see a top class striker, because you probably don't have what, apart from Demba Ba and Papa Cisse coming, what are the top class strikers in the last 10 years have been at the football club? There hasn't been one, and it's been crying out for an old fashioned typical number 9 to carry Newcastle United back into Europe, and hopefully they can sign a big player.
Yeah, I hope so. Adam Kavanagh says, hi Michael, what was your favourite moment in a Newcastle shirt, and do you have any regrets about your time at Newcastle?
Obviously, the Sunderland game was probably one of our most important. Biggest regret I spoke about last time was probably the penalty miss against Everton. I think that took a lot of stuffing out of me. It knocked my confidence. So you look back and you think, you point and you look at your career and you think, right, okay, what happens if I'd have done this different and that different? Obviously, when I started against Blackburn under Graham Souness, I think it was, I had a goal ruled out for offside. And it's just small margins that change games and change your life, you know what I mean? If the goal goes in against Blackburn, I start the next game and you never know what can happen. If my penalty goes in against Everton, Bobby Robson trusts you a little bit more, and he starts to play in a lot more games. So it's one of those things that you look back and, well, I had a good career, do you know what I mean? I played for my hometown club, which was my dream, and no one can take that away from me.
Borough Mag's question there, how quickly did the squad know it was all over for Al at the Stadium of Light?
I think pretty much straight away. Knowing Al, when he gets hurt and he stays down, you know something serious. And it's, in a way, it was fitting for Al because the penalty miss at the Gallagher against Sunderland, he was desperate to replicate it and go out on a bang, and no better way to do it than scoring the penalty at the Stadium of Light and to shut a lot of people up, do you know what I mean? And Alan Shearer's a legend, he's a superstar, and you pretty much knew, do you know what I mean, when he's sitting to the bench about his knee, that it is a serious way, and you could, being in the change room with him after the game, we were all hyped because we beat Sunderland, but on another way, it was sad and disappointing because that was the last game that Alan Shearer ever played for the football club. But you knew straight away that it was serious.
Yeah. John Ball there, what do you think the club should do for the season ticket holders who are currently still paying for their tickets? And obviously there's not going to be any games for them to watch.
Steve, I think it's absolutely ridiculous what the football's club, even what they've done for next season, taking people's money out of bank accounts and buying the tickets for next season, especially when it was just the start of COVID and people were losing jobs. The club decided to, I know what we do, let's just take people's money, do you know what I mean? People that need the hard-earned money to feed their kids and feed their family. I believe clubs should be doing what other clubs are doing. You've seen a lot over the last couple of weeks and days where clubs are refunding ticket money back to fans, which is rightly so. But look, Mike Ashley's selling the football club. Why does he want to give his own money back? Do you know what I mean? So, in a way, it's very disappointing what's going on and how he's treated the Newcastle fans. But like I say, he's treated the club like a cash cow, and it just shows you he won't give the money back to the fans. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. He's a greedy so-and-so.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that the new owners will have to sort out when they come into the club, and there'll be a few win-wins with the fans. I am sure. The other thing that needs to be addressed is the 10,000 tickets that were given away in January. The supporters who've now got those obviously won't get those games now. But I would imagine that there should be some kind of offer back to the people who walked away. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens and what happens. Andrew's question there, would Michael think the return of Rafa and director in football Owen Brown would be welcome?
Well, look, Rafa knows the area. He knows the football club inside out. You give Rafa a little bit of money and he'll be taking the football club places. And people talk about Rafa going to China and he got X amount of money and that sort of thing. But what people forget is he stayed at Newcastle United when Newcastle won the championship. And for ever how much money he got for going to China, he stayed with the football club because he had been promised that there was going to be a project. And the project was to get Newcastle United back into the Premier League, to put money back into the academy and training facilities and to really build the football club to what it was. And he got sold false promises. So if you're Rafa Benitez, you would disappear. Do you know what I mean? As much as you love Newcastle, as much as you love the area, he's got to do what's best for his career. And him fighting another relegation, does he really want that? Of course he doesn't. He's a manager that's won things at every club he's been at. And you're talking about big clubs, Napoli, Liverpool, Real Madrid. They're not Mickey Mouse clubs, you know what I mean? And he would have loved, I know Rafa, and Rafa would have loved to have been able to finish that project at Newcastle United. And look, you never know, he might be coming back. You never know what can happen in football. Anything can happen.
Yeah, 100%. I think he knew his time was up the year before, in World Cup year, when Mike Ashley summoned him down for a meeting where he thought he was away to talk about transfer budgets, and essentially he was summoned down for Mike Ashley to turn around and say, look, the Spanish manager's job's up for grabs, we won't stand in your way. And I think anybody who comes out on social media and slates Rafa and says he left the club for money clearly doesn't understand what had happened, and he was being forced out. That's in my mind, he was definitely being forced out. But it's past history now. We've moved on, and if Rafa comes back, I'll be delighted. I think you're right. I think he needs to come back and finish the job. But let's see what happens. Wackers 8173 says, how many players do you think the club should sign when the takeover happens for the first forward steps under a new regime?
I think you've got to be careful, Steve, because I look at Aston Villa this season, and I look at Fulham the season before, and they came into the Premier League and they pretty much bought 18 players.
Yeah.
And knowing being a footballer, you've got to be careful because you don't gel so quick as what people think. People just think, we'll go and buy him. Come to the football club, put them together, and they'll gel, they'll play, go win games. It's not like that. So I think they have to be careful. I would say you go and buy 4 or 5 players, introduce them to this team, and then gradually every season you bring better players. But you've got to be realistic as fans. You don't want to. You can't be splashing out money and you look at Joe Linton. Do you know what I mean? You splash out X amount of money, and it could be absolute dog shite. Obviously, people approved it in other leagues, but the Premier League's a totally different ball game. So you have to go out and buy superstars, and the superstars you want to buy, they're not cheap. So why waste all your money on a couple of players? Do you know what I mean? You've got to gradually bring players in. You've got the spine of the team at the football club. Apart from a striker, you've got a good goalkeeper. You've got probably a couple of good centre halves. Centre mid probably needs boosting, but the spine of the team's there. Do you know what I mean? And that sort of thing. So you build around your best players. So I wouldn't go stupid in the first year. Look, they'll have a plan. Do you know what I mean? Right, we want to finish in the top half. Season 2, we finish in Europe. Season 3, we finish in Champions League. 4, we go for the Premier League. You do it in stages, and you bring the right players in to do that. And hopefully now you'll be able to get rid of all the deadwood that's at the football club. There's people there that shouldn't be there. Do you know what I mean? They're there because you can't bring any other players in and that sort of thing. And some people really are robbing a living playing for Newcastle United because they're not good enough.
Yeah, 100%. Andy Garbutt says, Steve, I've already paid in full for next season. The club is a shambles, but there's no surprise. Kay McGarry says, Steve, did you see Matt Ritchie with his cans? No, I've not seen any photographs of him with cans. Have you seen them?
I've not seen them now, Steve, but I'm pretty sure the players will be behind them as well. Do you know what I mean? The players will be happy. Look, if somebody like MBS's and the Reuben brothers and the Man of Staveley are taking over the club, and people are talking about being the richest club in the world, obviously players are going to get excited. Do you know what I mean? Going to be part of the legacy. And Richie's a good player, and he'd probably be part of that legacy, building the team going forward.
Yeah.
And he'll be excited, you know what I mean? He's lived in the era for long enough. People talk about cans, and he'll be having banter with the fans. Do you know what I mean? He's one of them type of guys.
Yeah, 100%. Tom Lynch says, give the fans the option to have a refund or take off tickets for whenever we go back, which is fair enough. A lot of people agreeing with us that Rafa's the right person for the job. Wilfred says he thinks Rafa's the right person. He says, you're spot on, Rafa. I prefer Rafa to come back. Do you think Rafa should be reappointed? Well, we've answered that question. And Doug Hall says, not the Doug Hall, but he says, I walked away 8 years ago Will I get a chance of a season ticket just because the penny dropped late for a couple of people doesn't mean they should get the first chance? Nobody knows. It's something for the new owners to look at. I think really there needs to be a comprehensive system set up where it comes down to maybe loyalty. It's going to be so difficult because you've got to remember that the new owners are going to be inheriting the system that Mike Ashley has had in place. And knowing Mike Ashley as I do, everything's been done on a skeleton staff basis at Newcastle United. God knows what the ticket offers and the ticket system is going to be like. I would imagine, it just doesn't bear thinking about it. I wouldn't surprise us if it's been done with pen and paper. It's that bad. And I mean, we all know what the ticket office is like at the best of times. I'll tell you a quick story, Michael. The biggest moment for me at the ticket office was my brother went for tickets, and on this particular day he went up to collect some tickets that were ordered. He speaks to a guy behind the ticket office at the time who had a mustache, and he was called Ken. So he speaks to the guy. Rob, my brother's quite sensible. He says, "What's your name?" And takes his name. The guy goes, "I can't find the tickets. I'm just going to go in the back." Anyway, the guy never comes back out. And Rob's standing there for about 5 or 6 minutes before anybody else at the ticket desk says, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm just waiting for Ken to come back." He says, "He just went in the back to try and sort me tickets out." And the guy at the window goes, "There's nobody called Ken works here." It's absolutely bizarre. So it was just like one of those surreal moments. So Rob had to start again with this other kid, and sure enough, he got his tickets. But it was just like, God, they don't even know who to work with there. It was like absolutely mental, man. It's just a strange setup.
It is unbelievable how much has changed at the football club from when I was there. Obviously, you go in there and you had Sir John, you had Freddie Shepherd, who looked after the staff and couldn't do enough for them. Do you know what I mean? And then Mike comes in and sacking staff, sacking this, sacking that, and trying to release a wage bill on everything. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. It was crazy because the story you're saying. I've been collecting tickets, and I've been sent 4 different places. You go to the reception, you go to the glass reception, then you go to the ticket office. People don't know where your tickets are, do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, we'll go there, go there, go there. There's just no structure in place. And I think a lot of these people get employed just for the match day and might pay some minimum wage to come and work for Newcastle United just on a match day. Whereas when previous owners were there, it was like, right, you're part of Newcastle United. This is your full-time job. This is what you do. You know what you're doing. And I believe, look, when the new owners come in, they'll completely revamp the football club. But it'll take time, do you know what I mean? It's not, you can't just wave your magic wand and say, right, do this, it's going to happen. Look, there's a lot of things that he's done to the football club because of the shambles and how it's been run and how people have been treated and that sort of thing. And a lot of it needs changed, and hopefully when the owners come in, they will address and bring a lot more staff back that used to be at the club.
Paul Oxley says, do you think players like Gareth Bale are realistic with huge wage packets and his injury record probably going to cost $800,000 a week? It's crazy money. Do you think Gareth Bale's realistic? I think it's a huge name, and he is wanting to come back home. It would be a good marquee signing, I think.
I think you've got to look at $800,000 a week. He's not on that, do you know what I mean? He's not on that at Real Madrid, but you've got to look at it, and you've got to look at the players that want to come back to the UK. You look at Bale, you look at Coutinho, and you will have to pay X amount of money and probably over the top for wages, but you're talking about top-class players, do you know what I mean? What Gareth Bale done to Barcelona a couple of years ago in the Champions League and in the league, it's phenomenal. And would you be happy with a Gareth Bale? If obviously he's had his injury problems and that sort of thing, but you don't know what the full story behind it might be because of what the training regime at Real Madrid. But yeah, I would welcome it if he wants to come back to the UK and other clubs in the UK don't want him. Then why shouldn't Newcastle United go for it? They're going to be a big club. They're going to be challenging for, I believe, Europe and Champions League in probably 2-3 years. So you've got to try and attract these top superstars and then build a team around them. Yeah.
Do you miss playing football, Tom Dixon asks?
Yeah, I do. And that's one of the hardest things when I actually retired. and waking up the next morning and going downstairs and having my breakfast, turning Sky Sports News on and sitting there watching TV and thinking, well, what do I do with myself? You just don't know, because for, I think it was probably 17, 18 years, I was used to getting up in the morning, shower, change, going to training, there till 2 o'clock, come back home. And it was kind of regime, and you kind of, in a way, it's like you're in the army, because you're doing the same procedure every day, pretty much. And it came as a shock when I didn't actually do that. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was lost. And so you have to try and change your mentality of things. But it was hard, and I do understand how a lot of players have depression and mental health issues once you do finish playing, because it is a big shock to the body and a big shock to the system. And then obviously you're waking up with a missus every day, and a lot of players don't like that.
The official Sean Bennett says, do you believe the reports about the London-based PR company arranging the announcements? So that's what it's about. It's about arranging an announcement. There's obviously a rumour going around that, I mean, this is what we heard about the Saudi side of things, that they were going to announce it, etc. So, I mean, I've not heard that, but I mean, it is possible, I suppose.
Yeah, it is possible. Obviously, it's a big thing. Do you know what I mean? So, for them to hire a PR company and that sort of thing to run the PR and to send the letters out that the takeover's gone ahead and get it all over the Facebook, social media, Instagram, Twitter. You have to have somebody to kind of run that. Do you know what I mean? It's not an easy thing. It's massive news. Do you know what I mean? The richest people in the world are buying a football club.
Yeah. Green Up NUFC says, would you take Rondon back, Michael?
Rondon was a brilliant player for Newcastle United. He scored a lot of goals. You've got to look at his age, and he wouldn't at this moment in time, with the players that can get mentioned and what the club can buy. You probably look at Rondon as like he's going to be a squad player. You know what you're going to get from him. And look, a couple of years ago, he was fantastic for the football club, but the club's going to move on from that, and his age and stuff like that, he gets older and things like that, so you lose your legs a bit. But look, he was a brilliant servant for the football club. He wanted to stay at the club, so to bring him back, he's not expensive. Do you know what I mean? You could probably get him from China for what, 10, 12 million now, and he's a goal scorer. So as a squad player, you bring him on, that's 10, 15 minutes. If you need a goal, you know what you're going to get. Yeah,
I think if Rafa comes back, it would certainly be a possibility. He's going to want players he can trust, and he will have a budget. But I think in the past, when Rafa's had money to spend, he may have made one or two mistakes, like all managers do, but he's in normality he gets it right, and he tends to go for a lot of value players who become bigger players, So he's got a good track record, Rafa. If it was him to come back in, I think the club would be in good hands. You're getting a lot of messages from Cardiff fans. Chris Badger Price is one of them. He says, Chopra, you legend. Thanks for all the memories, Bluebirds. It's nice to still get that kind of message, I suppose, from clubs, as far afield as Cardiff.
Yeah, it's brilliant, Steve. Obviously, people talk about where I played my best football in my career, and it was Cardiff. Do you know what I mean? There was something about the city, something about the fans, the football club. And when I first went down there, obviously it was the old Ninian Park, old football club, and they made me feel welcome, and they reminded me of they were pretty much like Geordies, so passionate about football. They go to work 9 till 5 every day, and they look forward to going to the match in the weekend. And look, they took me in the open arms. They give me the love and care and that I needed. And look, I've done my best to my ability for the football club. I give them what I can, and I appreciate every message that comes from them, because the club is on the right side of my heart.
Amos Tupper says, Michael, what was it like playing for Sir Bobby Robson?
Look, when people mention Bobby Robson to me, there's no words to describe the man. the aura about the man. He was a man that come to the football club when the football club was going down. I remember I was watching it the other day, the game against Sheffield Wednesday when we battered them, and he brought Shearer back into the team, and Shearer scored 5. And he was a breath of fresh air for the football club, and not just that, he was a breath of fresh air for younger players like myself. And he would welcome me into his office with open arms. If I had problems, if I needed to speak to him about going on loan, because I was a young boy at the time, he was brilliant. And I remember one time when I went to Watford on loan. I was on loan at Watford for a month. I think I went March, April time. And Watford were in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And Bobby said to me, he says, look, I know I'm only letting you go on a 1-month loan. He says, because I want you to get the experience, but I want you to come back and join the first team camp towards the end of the season. He said, but if you beat Southampton in the semi-final and you get to the final, he says, I'm going to let you go back on loan and play in the final because you deserve it. And just little things like that. And me being a young kid, he would always talk to me about what Patrick Kluivert was like as a young kid, and also the Brazilian Ronaldo coming to Barcelona from PSV and stuff like that. He took him under his wing, and he would give me little hints and little bit of advice how to try and be on the same level as some of these players. And look, what he's done for the football club, what he's done for football, and Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson, everyone speaks highly enough of Alan Shearer. Do you know what I mean? For me, he was brilliant for my football career, and I'm privileged and I'm honoured that he actually gave me my debut for Newcastle United.
A. White says, would you keep Andy Carroll as a squad player? Paul Nove asked the same question. Andy Carroll stay squad player?
I'm a mate of Andy Carroll, do you know what I mean, and things like that. But I think it was a big risk bringing him in this season. Obviously, he's a Geordie and he wants to play for his hometown club, and the deal he was on and stuff like that. But going forward, I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? As a squad player, when he's come on in games, yeah, he's come on and made a nuisance and stuff like that. But to get a goal and that sort of thing, you might look somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, he's had a lot of bad injuries in his career, and it takes its toll as you get older. It does take a toll on your body and things like that. So I think Andy will be realistic and look at himself as well and decide what he wants to do as well.
Yeah, 100%. Wilfred Chomp says, on a final note, I just want to say thanks to Michael for your consistency in criticising Ashley and his joyless regime. Tune legend you are, Wilfred. You've got a big fan there.
Well, look, Steve, I'm a football fan. Do you know what I mean? I want what's best for my football club. And Mike Ashley being in charge of our football club is not right. And when you're a fan, you do have a right to criticise. And look, fans criticised me when I was playing, and you can't really criticise them back. Do you know what I mean? You've just got to get on with it, take it with a pinch of salt, and take it on the chin. But me being a fan, I want to go to games and be excited and be on the edge of my seat and knowing we're going to Anfield today and it's going to be a hell of a game. Do you know what I mean? If it's 4-3, if we lose 4-3, at least we've been in the game. At least it's been entertained for the fans. Not going to Chelsea and trying to win 1-0 and trying to nick a result in the last minute and defending for your lives. It's not entertaining. It's not exciting. Do you know what I mean? And fighting relegation every season, it's not entertaining. So when I was criticising Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce, I criticised them because of what I'm seeing and what I'm getting told.
Yeah. Umar Online says, Michael, was that goal in the 4-1 win your best for NUFC?
Well, I only scored 3 goals for Newcastle, but obviously one in the FA Cup, one in the European qualifying round away. But yeah, look, it was my first Premier League goal, a goal against your local rivals, and at the Stadium and from Newcastle United, and we went on to win the game 4-1 and pretty much changed the game. So yeah, it was my most important goal for the football club.
D. Agnew says, were you excited when Rafa was manager?
Yes and no. I was excited because it was Rafa, and and knew the philosophy of the football club and what he'd done at all the other big clubs, and no, because he's not going to get the right money and to be able to do that philosophy. So he done his philosophy to the best of his ability and what the football club could achieve. And look, Steve, you know yourself, that football club when he was manager overachieved pretty much every season to get into some of the positions they were in. It was phenomenal. And it hurts when people are criticising them and saying, yeah, Steve Bruce is got better points tally and stuff like that. But as a player, you've got to look on the other side and how does he get players up for games? How does he coach players and stuff like that? I was hearing the other day that if Newcastle United, I think it was Danny Rose, mentioned something about Tottenham where Pochettino is working them hard every day. They're lucky to get a day off. Comes to Newcastle, they win a game, they've got 2-3 days off. It just shows you the mentality of football clubs and managers. You talk about Pochettino as the highest level, and Benitez was the same. He drills into tactics and gets things right and on the training pitch, whereas Bruce, there you go, lads, you've won a game, get yourself away, have 2-3 days off. It's ridiculous. No wonder the club's fighting relegation, do you know what I mean, and things like that.
I mean, it comes down to man management, and I mentioned this last night when I was on with Warren Barton, and you know, Bruce had to come in. He didn't just have to win the fans over, but most importantly, he had to win the dressing room over. And I think the biggest U-turn as far as that squad was concerned between Bruce and Rafa was the re-emergence of Shelby, because Rafa wouldn't have Shelby anywhere near the squad, never mind the team. And it was no uncertain terms that I reckon he would have been on his way out. But Bruce, you know, he ended up becoming captain at one point under Steve Bruce. So it just shows you, you know, one manager going out and another manager coming in can change it massively for players, can't it?
Well, yeah, it can. And obviously when Shelby was there, he wasn't happy at the football club. He didn't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? And he's probably one of the biggest earners of the football club, and he's a good player. But you've got to get the balance right. And him in a Rafa Benitez team, and when you're working hard, and you could see that build into the players. Do you know what I mean? The formation, the team shape, the structure about the team when Rafa was managing, and Shelby wasn't part of that. And people go back and when I criticise Bruce and the first team players are coming out and backing him and stuff like that, look, they have to back him. He's the manager of their football club. Players aren't going to come out and say, oh, Bruce is bad, Bruce is... Because they'll be out the door the next day, do you know what I mean? So when I get fans tweeting me and saying, oh, well, Shelby thinks he's amazing and other players do and that sort of thing, it's because they have to say that, do you know what I mean? They're like robots. You have to say good things about the manager, otherwise you'll be out the door. Another thing with Shelby and other players, if you have 2-3 days off, you're going to like the manager, because as players, you want days off. You don't want to be in training every day, because training's hard. And when you go to training, it's like work. You go in, you work hard. And some players don't like that. Some players want to have an easy life and train once or twice a week, play on a Saturday in front of 52,000 fans. So when a manager comes in and says, lads, you've got 2-3 days off, look at, you know what I mean? And they'll say, oh yeah, Bruce is amazing, he's this and that. He's amazing because he gives the players what they want, not what is needed.
What did you make of his interview on Sky?
that he believes he's the right man for the job.
Yeah, what did you make of that? I'm sure I could hear you laughing all the way from Jakarta.
Well, look, I look at Bruce's CV and look what he's done for the teams that he's managed in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Look at what he's done for clubs that he's tried to get promoted to the Premier League. And I think you look back and he probably only done a good job at Hull City when he got to the FA Cup final. Give him credit, he's done well. But you're giving a manager a football club that could be one of the biggest clubs in the world financially. You're giving him all the power to bring in players. And he pretty much gives the go-ahead to, obviously, the go-ahead might have been done before that. But he could have put a stop to that. He could have said, no, don't sign him. Like what Rafa did a couple of years last year, don't sign him. He could have done that. But look, Me, do I want Steve Bruce to manage my football club when you can have Pochettino, you can have Benitez, you could have, who else is out there, Luis Enrique? You look at these type of managers, you know what I mean? Bruce, to these men, come on, Steve. To be fighting relegation and the way he plays football, I wouldn't want the owners coming in to have him as manager.
Yeah, I've got to agree, mate. I think, I think he will see the season out in whatever shape or form we see. But I think after that, it'll be thanks, Steve, for the memories, and that'll be it. That's another hour, mate. Gone. Fantastic. I think if you're up for it, maybe get you on next Thursday. I'm going to try and keep the same guests that we've had this week on for next week, and hopefully we'll be talking about the takeover next Thursday, mate.
Steve, I'd love to do that, mate. I enjoy it, you know what I mean? It's something different. You're interacting with fans, obviously. With what's been going on at the football club, I think the club it's definitely when Bruce has come in, the fans in football club, there's a big divide now, you know what I mean? Whereas Rafa and the team, they bring the fans together.
Yeah.
And being a player and things like that, I'd love to interact with fans and look, I know what's going on inside the football club as well, do you know what I mean? It's just, like, I can say what I want, do you know what I mean? I can tell people what's happening, and I've got no obligations against the football club, like what Shola Amiobi's like, do you know what I mean? And I see some of his interviews, and he's got to back the club because he's getting paid by them. But look, Steve, I've really enjoyed my time. I love speaking to you, do you know what I mean? Speaking to a fellow Geordie who's passionate about football, passionate about the football club. I'd love to do it, do you know what I mean? I look forward to it.
Good stuff. Last message comes from Andrew. He says, I knocked around with your dad Chopra, and your mum Sharon was in my class at school. That's from Andrew. So he says hi anyway. And a lot of people saying that you've nailed it. They've just said it's great to hear a former footballer speaking like a fan, which is really good. So thanks.
I am a fan. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. I want what's best for a football club. I go to games, watch it as a fan. I don't go there and watch it as a player. I sing the songs because I'm a Geordie, do you know what I mean? I'm no different to you, do you know what I mean? When I go to the game, at the end of the day, I've had a privilege that I was a footballer, but I'm not a footballer anymore. I'm a normal human being. I'm a football fan.
Good stuff, mate. We'll speak to you next Thursday.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Bye. Great to have Michael on again. Absolutely spot on. Back tomorrow night with a Geordie dentist, Neil Mitchell, live from Dubai. Saturday, 3 o'clock, Lee Clark. And a great one on Sunday. I've got a new player Sunday. Nobby Solano will be on at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Spread the word. And if you've missed any of it, get yourself onto YouTube. Subscribe to Steve Wraith. Take care. Good night. God bless. I wish you well.